Good morning, first grade. How are you? How's your day? How's your week? All right. So, this is probably our last story by the same author that we're going to share about characters and how we describe them. And the cover should look familiar because Andrea Beatty uses this same style with the graph paper, but she changes the character, and they're all friends in the same class. So today we'll share Sofia Valdez, future Prez. So if I'm going to come a little closer, take a look at her. How can we describe her? Well, we know Ada Twist's favorite color was red. So I wonder if Sofia's favorite color is blue, maybe, or yellow. We can describe her as having long hair. We know that we can describe her as being in second grade. And we know she wants to be what? Sofia Valdez, future president. So, what do you think the characteristics of a president are? Let's see if we can pick it out. Sophia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. So she is helpful. She and Abuelo went out every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek who couldn't get out and about on their own and with no place to gather were stuck home alone. So friends, I would say again that she is helpful. I would add thoughtful. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk. Sofia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends in her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people like good, but Sofia liked better. So when she did things, she did them right. And she did more than probably she needed to at one time. Oh, I like this page. Wait till I turn it around. Gotta find. Each morning, Abuelo walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, munching cookies, Abuelo and girl, except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel. With a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sophia scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing pup. I had to turn the page around in circles to read that. So if Sophia is very helpful, and she's walking home and the pup saw a squirrel and took up after it, what do you think she's going to try to do? I think she's going to try to help. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill made of leftover junk for a local landfill. That means like a dump where you bring your garbage. They reached the tip top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. Oh dear. I wonder if somebody's going to get hurt. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. Oh no, there's the dog though. The next day, Sofia walked to school solo. Do you know what that means? She walked all by herself. But it wasn't the same without her abuelo. Do you know what abuelo means? Grandpa. This is not right, declared young Sofia, who glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. I think I know what her idea is. If somebody's going to keep getting hurt by walking up on the trash mountain, what do you think she's going to do? The very next morning at dawn, she planted a sign in the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. Any other words come to mind? I'm still thinking helpful. I'm thinking thoughtful. She's a doer, which means she likes to get things done. Each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by 1:45 dark. Do you think a leader or a president would use their own idea, or would they take suggestions from others? I think they'd take suggestions from others. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed. Then, bam, she woke up and a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, "Let me know when it's done." They all thought Sofia could build it alone, but how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. Then dawn brought a storm and the gloomy sky wept, and the heartsick Sofia finally slept. Did the sky really cry? No, but it rained. Should she have to do it all by herself? Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bagful and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he tugged his Sofia. "For courage," he whispered. "Te amo, mi vida." Sophia's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried. Though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sofia Valdez went to face City Hall. You know where she's going? So if you have an idea, like she wants to build a park, she has to go and ask for permission to do it. She just can't do it. She has to get somebody to say, okay, that's a good idea. Or, are you sure that's really a good idea? So here she is. Oh, look, my favorite place. She's walking by the library. And, oh, how do you think she feels right now? It doesn't tell me, but by looking at that picture, that's a pretty big building and a pretty tiny Sophie. I bet she's nervous. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the office of duck ponds and cool things to do. To the office of monkeys, the department of cheese, the division of fountains and meetings of bees, then down to the basement so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's where the clerk said what no one else did. "You can't build a new park. You're only a kid." After all that hard work, they said, no, you can't do that. You're just a kid. The words smacked Sofia deep down in her heart. Did it really hit her? No, but it made her feel super bad. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. "I think," said Sofia, "I think the law is wrong." But her second grade voice didn't sound very strong. The clerk said, "Clearly it cannot be done. Do you have any questions?" And Sofia said, "One. If you were me and I was you and he was your grandpa, what would you do?" Well, said the clerk. Then she said nothing at all. She thought, and then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sophie speak, but her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sophia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of an old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do. Even though it doesn't feel good or it might make you scared, she knew it was the right thing to do. Though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2, she's pretty brave. She's pretty courageous, which is another word for brave. She's also pretty determined. She took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled, she held her head high, which means she was trying to be proud and confident. Sophia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two. Here's her plan. Wow, much like Ada Twist and Iggy Peck, she wrote out a plan. All right, cried the mayor, go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission. And so young Sophia got right to work with some help from her family and pup and the clerk. Then others joined in, not all, but a few, like Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. Teamwork. There were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure, then bulldozers, cranes, and a huge big digger. They all built that park. That's how it got done, with the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sophia could grow up to be president. Until then, Sophia, the real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. And that's it. Can you imagine, with one small thought and a little dream, how much Sophia accomplished? Can you think of something you'd like to do that is brave or courageous? Or maybe something like Ada Twist or Iggy Peck. There's another one of these books, and it's titled Rosie Revere Engineer. Maybe I'll find a read aloud and share it on this, or maybe next week. All right, what makes you you? What are some of the words that you would think describe who you are if you were in a book as a character? All right, bye for now. Move on to the next slide to see what's next, and have a super awesome week.